Jam on toast!
Hey everybody, welcome to Jam. I'm Cameron. Today the toast is to The Fifth Element. This is a response to week 14 of We Are Movie Club. This week was Brent's pick. I gotta say this is a good pick. I'm glad we're going back to movies we've seen and enjoyed instead of always being in a new movie, which is a great part of Movie Club, don't get me wrong, and I wouldn't trade it, but I've been urging to go back and see some movies that I really did like. So the short sell on this one is that it's the future, and we've got to collect 4 stones and the perfect being in order to save the universe. My love it for this one, because it's just a great directorial choice, is multi-threading scenes. Being able to swap back and forth in scenes during explanations is great. Especially the opera scene. That scene right there is probably my favorite scene in the entire movie. It's how I want my video game structured. If you have a cinematic or even something you're playing through, that's the type of music I want. I want it to be able to mold and change. I want it to actually have lyrics or actual sounds to make you feel what's going on at the time of the action. And we're seeing more and more of that. But that's another topic for another video. My hate for this one's just fleeting, jarring moments of little details, honestly. Like, it was weirding me out when the Mangalores or whatever had sunglasses on. I was like, what's wrong with their eyes? Oh, they're wearing sunglasses. And it took me like 5 minutes to realize it because I'd never noticed that before. The weird little sexy outfits that the ladies are all wearing in the movie, kind of like, why is that happening? Oh yeah, because this. McDonald's as a sponsor kind of made me stop and think about that for a second instead of the movie. The Montatellos, or whatever they were, like not having any type of military escort or weaponry defense against 2 little fighters, like that didn't really make a lot of sense to me. You'd think if they were going to bother to sit and wait outside of Terran space, that the Terran government would have some kind of platform there or something. Like how she broke through stuff. Perfect being. It's kind of a write-off, but it moves the plot along, so you can't really fault it. And honestly, even though I'm complaining about it now, it's nothing I ever picked up on before I started really reviewing movies. So, I'm a dick. The MVP for this, I strive not to pick the obvious choices. I try to stay away from the main characters and the cute girls, and look for someone meaningful to the story that isn't just who we're following around. And typically, when I do that, it's the villain. And as great a character as Zorg is, because let's face it, he nailed that role much better than Bruce Willis nailed Corbin Dallas. And all the wonderful effects and actors in this, Milla Jovovich brought it home. I don't know if it's just the way she talks in real life, if I just think she's hot. I don't know what it is, but she was the perfect Lilu for this, and I will always remember her little accent with this. Lilu Dallas multipass. And all the gobbledygook she was spilling out throughout the movie, I mean, well deserved. But let's move on to the categories. Aesthetics. Oh my gosh, did I hate all the stylization of the future. I really did. What was he keeping in these pockets up here? Little details, we're letting it go. But the weird haircuts, it was kind of neat that the guy had the weird hat to mug him when he came out the door. The outfits were kind of hit or miss, and then some of them didn't make any sense because there was the one like deaf opera singer who was dressed up like he was a Victorian tranny. I don't know what was going on there. And Chris Tucker in the skin-tight cheetah outfit, not for me, but I'm sure some of you ladies are welcome. And guys, the way they did the aliens were pretty interesting. I actually like the Mangalores and the Monticellos. They are basically friendly Daleks is what it seems like. The opera singer, I was a little miffed there because I couldn't figure out like how she could possibly ever dress herself with the way they designed all the tendrils and everything. But it's the future, so you probably have things to do that for you. Now I know that we're basically in the Terran space and everything, but other than the bad guys and the opera singer, there weren't a lot of aliens in the mix, which I kind of think is weird. But they did such a great job on the ones they have, you don't even think about that unless you're doing this. They put a lot of effort into everything. The music was good, the sounds were all good. Some of the things are a little goofy when they're meant to be though, so that's always in favor of it. I gotta say the movie looks great. I just didn't prefer the styling. Aesthetics gets a 90. Character development. This is kind of set up like one of those crazy fables from back in the day. It's honestly, that's what it makes me think of when I think of the character development for this, because we do get a lot of different characters in here. Granted, not everybody's of equal importance, but everybody kind of goes on an emotional journey, and we all learn a lesson at the end, right? Though for the Mangalores and Zorg, it's pretty much that bad guys die, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense other than like the subtle thing that says, hey, do good things and good things will happen. Maybe that's a better lesson to roll with there. And Dallas, even though he's kind of a gruff guy, he goes through things and he grows and he gets in touch with his personal side and learns to express the love that's within him. That. Other than the point of teaching Lulu what's what, everyone else is kind of who they are, but slightly better at the end of it. And then they very much, based on Chris Tucker's character at least, kind of roll back into their lives towards the end of the movie. Character development gets an 85. Storyline. I don't know if it was just a little convoluted, but at the time of watching the movie, I thought that the storyline was not structured very well. Yeah, they have great little scenes and everything that they're tied off in their own knots, but it's almost like, hey, we want to have this action scene, so we're going to write the story so that it fits that. And not necessarily like we wrote the story and it happens to have great action in it. But for a sci-fi adventure romance, that's what you're going to end up with, is these sort of things. And it's definitely not bad, I just didn't think it was the strongest. Because if you break it down, Perfect Being gets saved, guy gets selected to save the world, he gets with Perfect Being, they go to get the things that they need to save the world, and then they save the world. It's very video game-esque, the way the progression's set up, but honestly, there's not a lot to it. It's very much like, hey, you've got this main quest, and here's some side quests to do, and let's film the side quest for the movie. With that said, I do like how the stories are multi-threaded. You've got Zord, you've got the Mangalores, you've got Corbin, you've got the priest, you've got Lilo herself, and I think that's all done really well, and it doesn't seem very taxing. I think it fits well, it's structured well. I think they could have either streamlined it or just made the content just a little bit more meaningful. But maybe that breaks the action formula that makes action movies work so well, because I don't tend to view movies as action movies. I tend to look at them as romances or comedies or dramas or whatever. Storyline gets an 80. Compulsion. Forget everything I just said. This is a fun movie. This is a funny movie. It's got great little humor in it. It's got great action in it. All the pretty things draw you in. You got Bruce Willis and Mila Jovovich throughout most of the movie to keep your eye on. The Wells are excellently performed, and honestly, if you like sci-fi, and honestly, if you don't hate sci-fi, then you're gonna get a lot out of this. It's gonna be fun. You're gonna go, oh, there's silly characters. One or two characters might be too annoying, but nobody other than the main two characters are really around for any significant amount of time, so it's really easy to get over. Compulsion gets a 90. Now, if you total everything up, you get an average of 86.25. For my rep review, I gotta say, I love this movie. It's full of action, comedy, and a dash of romance. There's nothing wrong with this movie you can't get past. Worst case, turn your brain off, sit back and enjoy, and you will have a good time. I gotta say, I recommend this for about anybody. Once again, this was a review for #WeAreMovieClub. This week's pick was Brent. You can find him over in That Scotsman. And next week is Cristina. You can find her over in Miss Chrissy Marie. And her pick will be The Rocky Horror Picture Show. So be sure to go check out their channels and watch their stuff. And search the #WeAreMovieClub to see all the movie clubbers that are involved in this and what the latest and greatest we're up to. I think that's it for me. I'm Cameron. If you don't like me, bite me. If you want to see anything else we're up to, go ahead and click the annotations and they'll take you to our other channels.